Today's episode is brought to you by Mazars.
SoundCartel.
From SoundCartel, I'm Nicole Goodman, and this is Business Essentials Daily. We know how important it is to build a brand for your business, but what about your personal brand? You may prefer to let your business do all the talking. After all, it's your products or services that count, right? But today, that's short-sighted. Andrew Ford of personal brand consultancy Social Star helps corporate escapees move into whole new business lives through personal branding. He says now more than ever, customers want to know who they're dealing with and who they can trust. And to that end, thanks to the internet and social media, more and more people will come looking for you to find out about the person behind the business. So, Heather Dawson asks, does that mean you've really got to build your own personal profile?
Oh, absolutely. It's interesting because I met an accountant a little while ago and he didn't have a website or any social media. And he said, I'm quite successful. Why do I need a brand? And I said, well, you started your business 30 years ago and you've got, great credibility and traction and referrals. But if you're starting that same business today, you wouldn't be able to get that traction without having some sort of digital presence because it's just expected that people can find you and see you. What's your track record? Where have you worked? Do you have a network that can respect and respond to you? Because that brings the trust, and trust is the key component of people giving you business. So without that personal brand, people can't qualify you and you haven't got that credibility. So it is essential, yeah.
So what's the starting point in developing your personal brand then, Andrew? Because you say there's quite a bit of soul searching to be done.
It's interesting. The starting point is your name and your digital presence, but that's actually the middle of our process. The very start of our process is figuring out what you want your brand to be. And that's actually where most people get stuck. And so when people first start, they need to understand what they want to achieve. So we go into their core values. We drill down into their personality, their life stage and their resources to figure out, well, what is your career journey? And what is the best time to do it? Start a business if you want to do that. What is the best next step? But we take a long approach. We look at 10, 15, 20 years out in order to make sure we're setting up for success, not just for your work, but for your life.
That's what you do at Social Star.
Absolutely. We have a 4-part process. It's a 3-month process of branding. The first month is all about you, figuring out what you're trying to do, plan it, arrange it, document it, because people often know, oh, yeah, I know what I'm like. I go, great. Tell me in 100 words. Show me a photo of what that looks like, but they can't articulate it. And so we spend that part of the process, then we build it for them in digital, websites and so forth, and then we help them to market and sell it because often people are experts at what they do, but they're not experts at sales and marketing.
So what are you actually suggesting? Do people need to have their own personal website aligned with their business website or a web page about themselves, or should it all be incorporated into the same website?
Yeah, it's a really good question because people often get surprised when I say a personal website's a really good asset. Now, why do I need that? And when I said it all starts with you and your brand, generally, most people we work with are information professionals. They're people who are great at what they do. They might have done it in corporate for a long time, want to start their own business. Or they're going to a new field. Either way, they're not known with their target market because they don't have the big name behind them. So the first thing that we need to do is establish their online presence, their name. Because when someone refers somebody, say a great accountant, a physiotherapist, a consultant, a coach, they're going to Google you by name. And do you appear in Google? So if you don't appear in Google, first of all, you're not going to get the referral. You're not going to get the business. Second of all, if you appear but it's your Facebook page with your holiday family snaps, that's not going to assist you in establishing trust in order to get the business, so you lose it there. And third, if they say you do have a LinkedIn profile and they find it, does it resonate with them and does it have a great next step to put them down the sales path? And if it doesn't, then you lose them then. So what we find is that people don't take care of their personal digital presence. They might have it on their business website, but people never get there because they don't Google the business name because they don't know what the business name is. So a personal website is the number one SEO result for your name. So yourname.com.au will show up before anything else. And then you want LinkedIn and then you want your business website, if you can get that.
Okay. Well, starting with the name, you think that's pretty obvious, wouldn't you? Andrew Ford, for example, Heather Dawson. But it's not necessarily so simple.
No, there's a lot of complexities in doing it. So, I've got a client at the moment who's got quite a hard to spell last name. In fact, my team spell it wrong sometimes because it's just an interesting use of characters. And so we decided that we would have a personal website. He's already got a very successful business website. He's a dentist. And what we're doing is we're going to be buying the derivatives of his name. So wrong spellings, things that other people might type in to make sure they all feed down to his name in that case. We've got people from overseas who change their name. We've got people who get married and change their name. So there's all these different varieties. Even nicknames can get in the way. So my name's Andrew Ford. A lot of people call me Andy. If you Google Andrew Ford and you Google Andy Ford, you get different results. So it's very important to me that people are referring me, they use Andrew, otherwise I may not get the result. So we need to take care of what our brand is.
Okay, so you find the right name that's going to be easy to find wherever. You also say, well, just briefly, Andrew, things like logos and taglines and what you call your thing.
Yeah.
What's important to think about?
Yeah, it's interesting. What we're looking for is something that cuts through and stands out. So in branding methodology, what we're looking for is the message first. If we don't understand the message and what it's about, then it's very hard to construct everything else. And that comes through the understand section. So a good example at the moment is Scott Pape. Do you know Scott Pape? No?
No.
Have you heard of the Barefoot Investor?
Yes.
Great. So the Barefoot Investor is the brand that is getting cut through, not his individual name. And the great thing about the Barefoot Investor is it tells you kind of the type of investor he is. So, when he has his photo on the paper and his byline, he's got his feet up on a desk with no shoes on. You go, okay, well, that kind of reinforces it. And he gives essential advice. He gives you the basics and he makes it really practical and easy. And even the way he speaks is non-technical. So all of his branding comes from that particular, what we call a superhero name. It doesn't have to be a name. It could actually be a picture. It could be something else. So Matt Preston, the thing that people remember about him is his cravat. So that's his thing. What was Steve Jobs' thing? He used to wear black skivvy and jeans every day. So we all have these things that are branding elements that we actually construct into people's profiles so that, that's that guy with the thing, and it makes it stand out.
Does it sometimes surprise your clients, Andrew, when you say, actually, this is a thing about you that you may not even have realised?
Yeah, it's very true. It could be your accent, Heather. And so, people all have something that we can draw out of them, and we're looking for that because we need to make a statement. And the world is full of information, and your information, your message or your mission needs to have something that's got a point of difference. Otherwise, it's not memorable.
And then making those decisions about how you're going to distribute your personal brand. And, we know that we have to think about Facebook or Twitter or LinkedIn. Have you got any words of advice about that?
Yeah. So once we know what the mission is, for you, and we understand what the brand elements are, then we break it down into the mode. So before you can get to the channel of distribution, the mode is audio, video, or words, because that's all you've got to express. And if you choose words, then we're more likely to go down, say, LinkedIn, depending on your target market, of course. If it's video, then we're going to go on to, Facebook, and we're going to have, YouTube and so forth. So once you choose the mode that the person has the personality, experience, and the market for, then we can choose the medium. Mediums are not right or wrong. They're depending on the circumstances. Our favourite medium for our corporate escapee market that we work with, for our experts, is LinkedIn, because words are easier to produce than video, and most people are more comfortable doing that. It's a very efficient way to do it. But we also like audio because it's a great, personal mechanism, as we know from this show. And then we go down to the video path last because it's people have to warm up to that and be comfortable to do.
Okay. And finally, leveraging your brand, Andrew, and you say finding your voice. What are your key messages around that?
Look, when we've got the medium right, it's about putting your content out there in a regular way, but it always goes back to what are you trying to say? Because in a cluttered world where everybody's doing so much more content, if the message isn't on point and something that's very specific to you, it won't get any cut through. So cut through is what we want, and it has to be a little bit divisive or a little bit opinionated. We can't have it be neutral. So what we're looking for is something that your target market would go, wow, that's bang on. Whereas everybody else who's not your target market goes, I don't get it. And if you can achieve that, it's called polarization. If you can achieve that, then you'll form a tribe. And that's what's important because you've got to do that over the long term to actually form a tribe. And for anyone who's a consultant or an independent entrepreneur, there's a statement or a theory of 1,000 true fans. If you have 1,000 true fans, you can make $1 million a year. So all you need is 1,000 people. 4 million people in Melbourne, you only need 1,000 of those to buy a book, listen to your podcast, refer you on, and you can have a great business.
Now, final question, Andrew. One of the people that you put forward as somebody who's absolutely nailed their personal brand is Oprah Winfrey. How's she got it so right?
And I think the main reason why is that she was prepared to relate to people. So she talked about all of her personal life, and because she did that, people could actually connect with her as a human being, not as someone who's selling content or making money from a show. I mean, because she is a business person as well. And I encourage all of my clients to stretch themselves a little bit into adding a bit more of their personal journey. Because when I present, so I do a lot of work with accountants. So I'd say to the accountants, who here has a CPA? And 80% of the room puts up their hand. I go, great, there's 44,000 CPAs in Melbourne. How are you going to cut through with that? Okay, what else you got? Oh, I've got a higher degree. So what? So your specific personality, your history, your beliefs, your upbringing, all of those different experiences is the thing that is the differentiator. And the truth is this, is when we look at people's values, if people have a similar value set to you, they believe in the same things, they're going to connect with you on a deeper level, and then the business just comes from that. And it's risky because, I'm going to offend some people. Yes, you will. But the people who you're not going to offend and believe the same things you do, they're lifetime customers, not just trialers. So that's where the personal in the personal brand comes in.
That was Andrew Ford, founder of Social Star. This episode of Business Essentials Daily is produced by the team at SoundCartel. Thanks for listening. I'm Nicole Goodman. We'll bring you more Be Daily tomorrow. Follow @BE Daily Podcast across social media and head to bedaily.com.au for more from the Business Essentials Daily podcast. SoundCartel. This episode was brought to you by Mazars. To find out more, visit mazars.com.au. That's mazars.com.au.